Vanakkam and welcome to Thai Chennai's Breakthroughs and Blunders Tanglish podcast. யாருக்காக? நம்மை போன்ற ஆண்டர்பிரினர்ஸுக்கு. யார் சொல்றாங்க? டை சென்னையோட சார்ட்டர் மெம்பர்ஸ். பழம் தின்னு கொட்டை போட்டவங்க நம்ம கிட்ட வந்து பழைய கதைகளை சொல்றாங்க. ஆனா எல்லாத்துலயும் புதுசா கத்துக்க வேண்டிய லெசன்ஸ் இருக்கு. Breakthroughs and Blunders. வாங்க பழகலாம். இன்னைக்கு நம்மளோட கெஸ்ட் தீபக் சங்கர். வணக்கம் தீபக், வெல்கம்.
தேங்க்யூ பிரவீன், ரொம்ப நாள் ஆச்சு பார்த்து.
ஆமா. Incidentally, the first time I met Deepak he is a friend of a friend, and I landed up in his house in the US for dinner. அது ட்ராவல் பண்ணும்போது ஃப்ரெண்ட் ஆஃப் அ ஃப்ரெண்ட் நம்ம ஊர் சாப்பாடு கிடைக்குதுன்னா ஃப்ரெண்டு தான். That's how I landed up in your place.
I know.
Almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, thank to Rajesh.
Deepak, என்ன பண்றீங்க? What are you doing now? What have you done? We'd love to know more about Deepak Shankar, the entrepreneur.
Sure. I'm a hardware geek. So I've got a master's in electrical engineering.
Right.
And one of the few guys that whatever I studied is what I continue to use 30 years later.
பயங்கர rare.
ஆமா, அதே தான் ஒண்ணுமே இல்லை. So kind of boring in that way. எங்க கம்பெனி பண்ணுறதும் கொஞ்சம் boring தான். See, we don't make a lot of the products you use.
Right.
We help the people that make those products that you use. So like for example, if you go to a Google search, there is something that's happening in the background.
Right.
The electronics that happens is designed with our software.
Oh.
So if you drive a Toyota carல நிறைய sensors உண்டு to tell you different things.
Right.
அதெல்லாம் process பண்ணி ஒரு decision எடுக்கிறது is done with our electronics.
Right.
So our company Mirabilis Design, we provide what we call simulation software, and that allows you to create a prototype even before you start your development.
Oh.
So idea is ஒரு சின்ன குழந்தைக்கு நம்ம when we try to teach them, right, ஒரு jigsaw puzzle கொடுப்போம். அதில் நிறைய பீசஸ் இருக்கும். ஒரு மவுண்டன் இருக்கும், ஒரு பேலஸ் இருக்கும், ஒரு ஃபோர்ட் இருக்கும், ஒரு மோட் இருக்கும், ஒரு ரிவர் இருக்கும், அதெல்லாம் இருக்கும். அதே மாதிரி எங்களோட jigsaw puzzle has everything related to electronics. Electronics, now we heard of processor,
Yes.
we heard of memory, we heard of software, we heard about cameras, like audio equipment, அந்த மாதிரி. So அதெல்லாம் போட்டு they will come up with, okay, இதான் என்னோட ஃபைனல் ப்ராடக்ட், இதான் என்னோட அமேசான் எக்கோ, இதான் என்னோட மாஸ் ரோவர், இதான் என்னோட லைக் ஒரு கூகுள் டேட்டா சென்டர், இது மாதிரி இருக்கும். அதில் they'll run what are called simulations to try. நான் இதை வேரி பண்ணினேன்னா என்னோட பவர் கன்சம்ஷன் கம்மியாகும், நான் ஐ டோன்ட் நீட் டு பை ஒன் மோர் நியூக்ளியர் பவர் பிளான்ட், ஒரு நியூக்ளியர் பவர் பிளான்ட் போகிறோம். அந்த மாதிரிலாம் ஸ்டடி பண்ணுறதுக்கு எங்கள் சாஃப்ட்வேரை யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க.
Right.
So that is what we do. So now என்னோட role in it is mostly around the engineering side. How do I build a product that is easier and easier and easier to use? Like போன வருஷம் if it took 6 months to do some work, இந்த வருஷம் எப்படி 3 மாசத்துல பண்ணி முடிக்கும்.
Right.
So that is my big goal. Plus explaining it to customers. இதான் என்னோட role in the company.
Nice. இங்கே படிச்சீங்க, யூஎஸ் போனீங்க, மறுபடியும் வந்தீங்க, அந்த ஜேர்னி பற்றி சொல்லுங்களேன் தீபக்.
So my journey is kind of funny. நான் ஸ்கூலில் படிக்கிறதே I did an interdisciplinary thing. நான் math, physics, chemistry, and I took commerce.
Wow.
So I grew up on Sterling Road.
Right.
End of Sterling Road is Loyola College.
Right.
So Loyola College bell அடிக்கிறது என் ஆற்றுல கேட்கும். So நான் என்ன பண்ணினேன்னா I would முதல்ல அப்ளை பண்ணது லாயலால தான் அப்ளை பண்ணேன். Because of my great commerce and my great math marks, எனக்கு BCom கொடுத்துட்டான். So I took on BCom. But within 1 month strike வந்துடுது. அதனால அதுக்குள்ளே I got into Crescent Engineering College.
Oh, wow.
So அங்கே நான் பண்ண ஆரம்பித்தேன். Then அப்போல்லாம் கவர்மெண்ட் காலேஜ் வாஸ் லைக் ஒஸ்தி காலேஜ்.
Yes.
ஸோ அங்கே தான் போனேன். அதுக்குள்ளே CIT கோயம்புத்தூர்.
Oh, nice.
So and that was probably the best time of my life, living in the hostel.
Oh.
More than studies, more than living in the hostel, going out with my friends. அதான் முதல் தரம் after like living in Tamil Nadu for so many years, 17 years, first time I actually learned to speak Tamil. So thanks to my friends and thanks to Ilayaraja on Sunday afternoons, I learned Tamil. அதுக்கப்புறம் நேச்சுரல் ப்ரோக்ரஷன், எல்லாரும் யூஎஸ் போனா, அதனால நானும் யூஎஸ் போயிட்டேன். I had a nice job in Pune, but யூஎஸ் போயிட்டேன். யூஎஸ் போய் I did my masters and it was the Clinton era, so jobs were very hard. I managed to get one. Within 3 months that company shut down. So இன்னொரு வேலை கிடைச்சது. Then just kept going up the progression.
Right.
And then within about 2-3 years I said, what, I need to know something about business. So I applied and I got into University of California, Berkeley, or a Haas School of Business, which at that time was very highly
Pretty
rated.
good.
So I ended up doing that. அது பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம் உடனே the internet boom showed up.
Yes.
So I dived right into the internet boom, and within I think we had really good time. We expanded like crazy. We hired tons of people. We raised a lot of money. அதெல்லாம் பண்ணினோம். அப்புறம் புஸ்ன்னு ஆமா நம்ம புஸ்வானம் போவோமே இது தீபாவளி அன்னைக்கு அது மாதிரி கதை ஆயிடுது. Then after that I said what, I'll do one more startup. So I did a couple of startups. Then I felt what, it's getting kind of boring working in a corporate environment. Let me start my own gig. So one of my friends and I, we were playing racquetball, and we came up with this thing and said, hey, why don't we do this? So we started. That's how I started my company.
Nice.
Now, coming back to India was an unexpected இது. Like எங்க ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாரும் இந்தியாவில் வீடு வாங்கி they equipped it, எல்லாம் செட்டப் பண்ணா. But நாங்க மட்டும் we never did anything. I never transferred even 1 rupee to India except to pay some loans I took. I thought transfer பண்ணதில்லை. Move பண்ணது என்ன, we were sitting for Thanksgiving dinner. And my wife and I discussed and we said, வேற எங்கேயா போயிடலாமே, California is getting too boring.
Right.
அவ ஜூரிக் சொன்னா, நான் சென்னை சொன்னேன். நம்ம காயின் டாஸ் பண்ணினோம், சென்னை வந்துடுது. So we ended up in Chennai and we lived here for 14 years now in Chennai. My daughter was 4 years old. Now she's going back to the US, starting the same trend. Only thing அவ undergrad போறா, நான் grad school போனேன், அவ்வளவுதான். So that is how I came back to India and I've been happy ever since.
Lovely.
As you can see, boat club.
Yes. We will come to that. அங்க வரோம். But before that, blunders and breakthroughs. So it is important for us as charter members, as entrepreneurs in the business field, to talk about some of our failures. நம்ம ஓப்பனாக பேசினா தான் மற்றவனுக்கு ஆஹா இப்படிலாம் தப்பு பண்ணிருக்காங்க, இந்த தப்பை நான் செய்ய வேண்டாம், இந்த தப்பை அவங்க எப்படி செஞ்சாங்க என்னன்னு ஒரு அனலைஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க. நம்ம கியான் கொடுக்கல, நான் என்ன தப்பு பண்ணேன், எப்படி நடந்தது, how did I move forward, அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது blunders, failures, points of improvement ஏதாவது இருக்கா தீபக்?
Massive. Massive. That was the very first thing. நாங்கள் கம்பெனி ஆரம்பிச்சோன்னே we were in an industry which my partner and I knew the hell out of this industry. We knew all the customers, we knew everybody. Right. So our expectation is, நாங்கள் ப்ராடக்ட் பில்ட் பண்ணால் உடனே build it and they will come in மாதிரி. It's like ready customer base. உடனே போகிறோம், நாங்கள் பண்ணிட்டோம் ப்ராடக்டை. அப்புறம் அவங்கள்ட்டெல்லாம் போனால் ஏதாவது எக்ஸ்கியூஸ் கொடுக்க, பேசக்கூட மாட்டேன்ட்டான். அப்புறம் தான் we realized we were part of a multi-billion-dollar company. Right. So they spoke to us. Startup in ஒன்னொன்னு, too much risk. இவனை நம்பி நாளைக்கு விட்டுட்டு போயிட்டானா நான் என்ன பண்ணுறது? So, they did not do that. So we had this fantastic product. We had no customers. So what did we have to do? We needed to quickly find revenue. We quit our jobs, high-paying jobs. Yes. We were living in a very expensive part. Our expenses were massive. How do we handle it? Then one thought came to mind. The biggest thing is we need sales. How do we get it? We need salespeople. But being in California, we can't afford a salesperson because a salesperson net would cost me over $350,000. Wow. This is for a company where we raised no funding. Yeah. We took our own money and put it in. Yes. Then we realized, why worry about California? Why worry about in the US? Let's expand it all over the world. So the next 2 months we interviewed distributors and reps and everybody across the world. And very quickly we identified Korea, Japan, China, and Taiwan as customer base. And we immediately set up our operations there. We also set up an operation in India. So our first customer, being in California, trying to sell to the US, our first customer was ISRO in Trivandrum. Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in Valley. I was our first customer. Nice. They were trying to build the Chandrayaan. Oh. And they wanted to know how reliable this product was going to be when they actually launch it. Will there be any errors? Adukku they used our product to experiment with. Wow. And the reliability. So we took a horrible situation, sales distribution, and ended up getting our first customer. That is how they did it. One of the things I got to say about Government of India. Yes. They are the best people when it comes to keeping up the payment.
Wow.
Among all the private companies, international governments, everything, Government of India is the company that if they say 30 தேதி pay பண்ணுவேன்னா 29 தேதி bankல காசு இருக்கும்.
Nice.
That is one thing about government, and that's what really helped us. So when we had ISRO, we had a success story of a massive international organization, and we were ready to roll. That was probably our biggest to how we came back from like almost shutting down.
Wow. That is brilliant. Now, shifting a bit more, Deepak, moving personal. Now, I know Deepak as the entrepreneur. I know Deepak as the rower. What else is Deepak? என்னெல்லாம் interest உங்களுக்கு?
Travel. So I travel approximately about 150,000 miles a year.
Wow.
And many of it is for work.
Right.
But at least we do 2 vacations.
Yes.
And when I travel, one of the things I try to do is any city I go to, if it's minus 15 degrees or, plus 100 degree Fahrenheit, doesn't matter. I'll always make sure I walk at least an hour a day. So I go through the, like the houses, I go through, like how different it is. Like Ponavara, I was in Nagoya.
Right.
And, I walked into the town, into the old town of Nagoya. Pata, thuniyala very lonathirka. Actually, I found Kamala's Potti Kadai.
In Nagoya.
In downtown Nagoya. Downtown. The funny part, it was run by a Pakistani, but it was Kamala's. So you could get, like that is kind of the feel I like.
Right.
Like ஒரு பெரிய building பார்க்கறது, those are interesting things. But இந்த மாதிரி இது is what I really enjoy. And of course the local food. I've traveled, I don't know, maybe about 2 million miles, about maybe 100 cities. When I travel, I make it a point never to eat Indian food. Including rasam sadam. No. The thing is, I make it a point to try the local cuisine. So then when I go to the customer, right, I'm not asking them we go out to an Indian restaurant. I ask them, no. We'll go to a local Japanese. I want a soba noodles. That is the thing like you kind of come close to the customer.
Yes.
You mingle with the customer. You get to really associate yourself. So that is part of the travel. Other thavara, one of my hottest thing is, for mental health. I like to drive down to Kumbakonam. I'm not very religious. I'm not spiritual.
Right.
But I just like to go to Kumbakonam, like to walk the busy, messy streets, whether it's raining or not raining, and go to Dharaswaram. Dharaswaram temple, you go sit down there for half an hour. It's almost like, you're gone to an Ayurveda clinic in Kochi and you're completely revitalized. And this is the one big thing for me.
Nice. Now, Deepak, you've also been quite active with something called the Chennai Lecture Series. How did that come about? That was pretty entrepreneurial. Enna panneenga? What is the Chennai Lecture Series?
Sure. See, when I moved to Chennai, unfortunately, most of my friends were still in the US. So I had very little friends here. I had a very close guy who helped me start my company, Ramesh Krishna. He was interested in starting a new Rotary Club. Appo he called me and I started, like using my power of persuasion to get people to join our club. So, adu paninona, we said, okay, we have to get our club known. And Madras 150 club irukku Rotary la. How do you get yourself known? So, we had to do something unique. So, now when we were discussing, we said, hey, every city has something called a lecture series. Calcutta la irukku, Bombay la irukku, Delhi la irukku, ella irukku. So we had to do it. Like, why don't we do one for Madras? There was a Palkiwala lecture series thing, but it was not that active and it's not a way open to the public. It's open to a restricted set of people. So we said we'll open a Chennai lecture series. But the only criteria was they had to be a national or international personality and they had to be from Chennai. That was a restriction. So we searched around. Rangarajan Rajan was the governor, but what we found was Dr. Rangarajan, who was a former RBI governor, former governor of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, was living in Nanganallur. And one of our members happened to be his dentist. So, boom, our வீட்டுக்கு போய் அவர்கிட்ட பேசி, we got him as our first speaker.
Nice.
We selected a Sunday right before Diwali. Pouring rain. It was like almost a cyclone,
Yeah.
pouring rain. There was like Egmore theatre was like, museum theatre was like almost like 1 radi thanni all around. In spite of that, we had 150 people show up for a small club. அப்போ 18 பேர் தான் இருந்தோம் clubலயே.
Ah,
Even with all of us doing our marketing, we got 150 people.
nice.
So that started off, and even today, 14 years later, still going strong. We're still getting, I mean, we had like the National Security Advisor come in.
Oh.
We had like MPs come and present. We had international personalities. So we had people from all walks of life continue to present every year. So it's really become a strong, it's become our sign. Enga club, Chennai Karnataka idu is the Chennai Lecture Series.
Nice. Now, shifting tack back to your original problem, you're hiring salespeople, growing through. As a startup to scale up, என்னெல்லாம் hiring challenges இருந்தது? How did you face these hiring challenges? And then I'll have a follow-up question. But what about these hiring challenges?
See, the thing is, getting developers to make the product is very easy. எங்கேயாவது கிடைக்கும். இந்தியாவில் கிடைக்கலன்னா பாகிஸ்தான் போ, பாகிஸ்தான் கிடைக்கலன்னா ஃபிலிப்பீன்ஸ் போ, ஃபிலிப்பீன்ஸில் லெபனான். You'll get people. And you can get reasonably good, reasonably intelligent people. The problem comes is sales and marketing. Hiring for sales and marketing is very difficult. The really good guys are impossible to find. And they're already making a lot of money, so they have no incentive to move. Like when we hired our first sales guy, right? Or actually our second sales guy. After 1 month, we asked him, so what's your challenge? He said, nobody calls. He worked at a big company, he moved here, and it's like, he expects people to call him.
Oh.
As opposed to things. So hiring for sales and marketing, that's where any entrepreneur should put in their effort. Not in the development team, in the sales and marketing
Nice.
side. How do you communicate your product? How do you present your product? Where do you talk to? Who do you talk to at what time? How do you identify? Like as they always say in sales, right? When the customer says no is when the sales rep's job starts. So that is where you need to spend your effort. Because as an entrepreneur, you're a sales guy. You're not a developer. You're a
Yes.
sales guy. That is the first thing you should know. And that is where I think hiring the sales and marketing was always our challenge. And that is where we had to spend a lot of our time, not in the development.
How did you solve it?
Initially, we couldn't solve it. So initially, நாங்க என்ன பண்ணினோம்னா, we would attend all the conferences out there and go every boothல போய் நாங்க brochure கொடுத்துட்டு வருவோம். So it used to cost $5,000 to $10,000 per இது, and we were just starting off. So we couldn't spend $10,000 10 times a year, $100,000 இது.
Right.
It didn't make sense. So நாங்க சும்மா we'll get an entrance fee, and most time they'll have 1 day free. So we'll go find, hey, we want to meet your VP of engineering. We want to meet your director of engineering. போய் ஒரு boothலயும் போய் நாங்க brochure கொடுத்துட்டு வருவோம். அதில் we got some, people knew about us, started to get to know us. So that was our first one. When ISRO gave us money, Hewlett Packard gave us, Qualcomm, some of these companies started buying. Then we said, okay, now let us actually go to the conferences. So we set up a booth, and, we would walk around, hand off people and say, hey, come to our booth. So adala we started doing. So that was our first foray into things. We didn't hire. Initially, the hiring, we had our distributors across the world. Remember the reps, other question, but hiring our own salespeople, we didn't do it at that time. We started doing it this way. Then what we found out was one of the biggest challenges that magazine editors have is content. And we knew how to write. My teammates and I, we really knew how to write. So we did a barter system with them. Nanga content kudupom, you market for us. So we didn't have to spend the money. So that was the way our hiring started, bartering for these things. And that really worked out well to get our first 15, 20 customers. Adu panninom. Apro we still didn't hire a sales guy. We actually went for hiring marketing guys. See, at that point, social media was still not a viable option to really idu. Ippo social media is important, but still not idu. So one of the things we noticed was social media keeps you in connect with people. You'll say, you keep your, gets your friends closer, your enemies even closer, right? And the marida, all the LinkedIns of the world are. They only help you to keep in touch with them. You still need the sales guy to go talk.
Yeah.
So what we are not in the IT consulting business. We are Mirabilis Design, my company, is a software company. So we're the same as Microsoft or AutoCAD or things like that. So it's not like you call up the engineering department and say, hey, we are a SaaS developer or we are a, SAP service provider or things like that. We were selling an actual product. So which meant that we had to know the guy that is inside the company. So a normal database was completely useless.
Yes.
Because they only know IT department இது மாதிரி தான் இருந்தது, or a finance department. So we needed people that can start pulling in. So what we did was we started building these small tools that looked up press releases, looked up magazine articles. அதிலேந்து பேர் எடுத்தோம். And we had started having people email them.
Right.
And engineers don't like to talk on the phone.
Yes.
So email actually works wonders. So that is how we handled our initial hiring. Now it's a different story. Now we are much bigger. So we have a sales team, we have marketing teams. அதெல்லாம் பண்ணிட்டோம். So now we're all, fully fledged up.
Now that you're fully fledged up, Deepak, இன்னொரு கேள்வி, ஒரு curve ball, செகண்ட் லெவல் லீடர்ஷிப் டீம் செட்டிங் இட் அப் அண்ட் புட்டிங் இட், அது ஒரு சேலஞ்சா? எப்படி ஹேண்டில் பண்ணீங்க அதை?
We haven't handled it yet. Engineering, we have a pretty good team. So I don't have to be physically present. They take care of it, and they are pretty. And most of them are very senior people. We have very few junior people in the team. So that is a good thing for us. Sales and marketing, what I've realized is the entrepreneur still has to be the head.
Right.
You cannot take it. Now, part two, which is crossing the chasm, we are doing something completely unique. I was hoping actually today I would have signed the deal so I could announce it here, but unfortunately it's not done yet. Maybe it'll take one more week.
Right.
It's almost there. We already started the work, but the actual contract is not signed. But this 2.0 is going to actually transform us from into like a 10x multiple of where we are today. And I think this is something that more startup companies should think about. Once they get to a level where they've created a market, they've created a product, and they've created customers, viable customers, this is what they should be thinking about doing. I can't talk about it now, but maybe in our next episode or something, you can mention it.
Absolutely, Deepak, absolutely. Pretty heavy stuff. So just moving into something light, 150,000 miles per year. Any funny episode, incident, forgetting your passport, forgetting your wife somewhere?
Oh, forgetting my wife, I'm not going to talk about that because it brings back horrible and she'll remind me when you get into the car. But I think my biggest episode was, I was sitting next to this guy at Ahmedabad airport. I had presented at MICA, and I also met some customers and of course, ISRO. And I was sitting in the airport and I was talking to this guy next to me. I noticed this guy had an unusually large box. It was like about 3 feet high by 1.5, 2 feet wide and really thick. It was aluminum box, looked fairly heavy. And so I was talking to him and I never realized the box. Then the thing was, when we were getting into the security check and he opened it. It happened to be a trophy.
Oh.
So, and I also noticed there were two other people in like the safari suits walking, by the side of it. So I asked him, what is it? Oh, he said it's a trophy. So I asked him, what is the Formula Race Car trophy? No, it's the Mumbai Indians IPL trophy. So we get, we go past the thing. We're still chatting. We get into the plane. He's sitting on the left side. I'm sitting on the right side. The trophy has its own seat.
Wow.
The popular separate seat. The trophy had its own seat. Like seat belt potna. And the two other people in plain clothes were the Reliance security that was sitting, right behind him, watching over the. So they were taking it from Ahmedabad to Mumbai for the second or the 5th edition or 6th edition of the IPL. So they were taking it there to place it in the middle. So that is what the trophy was, taken. The biggest mistake I made here, this is one of my blunders. I did not take a photo with the trophy.
You could have.
I could have. I became really friendly with the guy. I could have taken a photo. And the photo எடுக்க மறந்து போயிட்டேன். நாயோட photo எடுப்பேன், ஆனையோட photo எடுப்பேன், IPL trophyயோட photo எடுக்க. That is probably my biggest. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, I've had places like Taipei, I almost missed a flight. I convinced the lady at the gate to reopen the door and reopen the plane and let me in.
Wow.
So அதெல்லாம் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். I've actually left my passport in Seattle, flown into Vancouver, where they actually shipped the passport on the next flight. And I was sitting in immigration while the passport came, and then I could
Wow.
go through. So a lot of those kind of things have happened. But the IPL trophy is my cake among everything else.
தீபக், நம்ம இப்போ இருக்கிற காலகட்டத்தில் we have to keep studying. படிச்சுட்டே இருக்கணும், ஏதாவது பண்ணி 2.0 அடுத்தது 3.0 வரும், 4.0 வரும். How does Deepak Shankar keep himself updated? என்ன பண்ணுறீங்க? What are your sources of inspiration, learning? என்னெல்லாம் பண்ணுறீங்க தீபக்?
Talking.
Ah!
See, the thing is, books was something that people always say, oh, I read this book, I got inspired. எனக்கு ஏதோ புக்ஸில் ஒன்றும் அவ்வளோ இன்ஸ்பிரேஷன் வருதில்ல. லைக் இப்போ ரீசெண்டாக ப்ரோக் டு பிரேக்னு இவரோட ஹரிஷ் தாமோதரன் ரிட்டன் புக் அபவுட் இவர் சந்திரமோகன் ஆஃப் ஹாட்சன். Fantastic book அவரோட இதெல்லாம். I've attended a session where Cotton World owner, he had explained about his whole life. Like where our இது காசிமேட்ல ஏதோ வித்து, he would go back to Avadi, walk back every day. Inspiring, but those things didn't really get me going.
Right.
What really gets me going is when I go to these conferences, I go meet customers, they talk to me, they tell me stories, they tell me what their problems are. That is what inspires me to move forward. That I think is the most, listen to your customer. So one of the things I try to do is, at least 1 week a month, I'm on the out there meeting customers. Now 1 week ponena, my goal is or 10 customer meet panno.
Right.
So that is the biggest, that is where I collect all my information.
No podcasts, no videos, no.
Nope.
Ah.
வீடியோஸ்லாம் இப்போதைக்கு என் பொண்ணு இப்போ 12th ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் முடிச்சுட்டு இருக்கா. ஸோ 12th ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் மேத்தும் 12th ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் ஃபிசிக்ஸ் தான் என்னோட பாட்காஸ்ட். ஸோ நீங்கள் இஃப் யூ வாண்ட் டு பாஸ் 12th ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் கம் அண்ட் டாக் டு மீ, ஐ கேன் ஹெல்ப் யூ.
Deepak, my biggest gripe that 2 years I wasted learning trigonometry and a plus b the whole square and all other nonsense, when in those 2 years I could have learnt business communication or accounting or anything related to make me a better entrepreneur today. My constant lament, which in a way brings back to நம்ம எதுக்கு பண்ணுறோம்? இப்போ படிக்கிறோம், ஏதாவது வித்தியாசமாக செய்யணும், மாற்றி செய்யணும். அதுக்கு நமக்கு படிப்பு தேவையா? அது ஒரு பெரிய கேள்வியாக வந்தது, எஸ்பெஷலி இன் த வேர்ல்ட் ஆஃப் ஏஐ. ஹவு இஸ் ஏஐ சேஞ்சிங் யோர் பிஸ்னஸ்?
AI is substantially changing our business in two ways. One is our customer base is growing like crazy.
Oh, nice.
The AI consumes so much of power, consumes so much of processing. People are building new technology left, right, and center, and they're all electronics. And they need to prototype all of it. So that is our business. So our business is growing like crazy thanks to AI. And AI in different forms, like autonomous driving, electric vehicle intelligence, like just search, Google search. All of those are growing our business like crazy. Now, one of the things our industry is a little bit behind is using AI for actual purposes.
Right.
Generative AI, we haven't really. So we're just starting to do that. We're taking small steps in really, like incorporating AI into our product. Because until now, it's mostly our customers are doing all the AI products. So, if you go to a Google search, the electronics behind that, designed with our software. You take a car that has autonomous driving, the electronics behind that, the software, designed with our software. So there's a lot of those things, but only now we are investing in AI.
Right.
But one thing that I've got to say, AI is not the AI from the 80s. Number list programming on
Yes.
80s. It's not the AI. The difference is, over the last 20 years, content has become so critical.
Yes.
Everybody has put content on the web, right? And ChatGPT, Google, Microsoft, all of these guys can leverage that. And that is why AI is transforming everything. And I think that's what's going to be very critical in the next 10 years. So if you're not leveraging AI for every part of your business, your competitors are. And you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. Deepak, researching about you, one word that jumped out is the student-based India-led project. Tell us about it. No?
So India Literacy Project is about a 30-year-old organization based in San Carlos, California. And the original intent of it is to enable and empower government school children
Ah,
to complete schooling. Now, one of the problems that we always hear these stories, kids in government school only have like fourth standard math or say sixth standard physics and the madri. So one of the things we discovered is skill development is always through your hands, always through something visual, not something reading a textbook.
yes.
So India Literacy Project has developed these things called demo kits. We call it multidimensional learning systems. On the demo kits vechinde, we go into schools, we put in demo kits all across.
What's a demo kit?
So, good question. A demo kit can be as simple as I put a resistor and a diode.
Ah,
So, if I'm doing a physics in semiconductor chapter, like I'm doing section A, which has got a, about, like full wave rectifier, I need to learn about it. Now, adukku demo kit irukum. So, we have a one-to-one mapping of different school curriculums and our demo kit. So, then when a student does something there, in their teaching, the teacher can immediately show the skill and say, hey, come and do this. One of the things was we didn't do it just for like the STEM. We did it for like history, geography, mathematics. Historyல ஒரு interesting episode ஆச்சு. நான் ஒரு ஸ்கூல்ல இருந்தேன். இதில் திருவள்ளூர் districtல. திருவள்ளூர் district is one of our biggest ones in Tamil Nadu. We are across 18 states, but திருவள்ளூர் district is special. This was in all the bricklin workers ஓட குழந்தைகள்.
right.
One of the class, when we were sitting in the class, when we were listening in, they were teaching about Krishna Devaraya.
Ah,
So, and they took up Google Maps. Google Maps, the Krishna Devaraya oda fort katna. And then they show about a feeling of, like maneuvering through Krishna Devaraya's fort. And, like going through what he would do in his garden, where he would, Simhasan Angarko, adallan they were showing. One of the kids raised his hand and said, Pa, நான் இதுக்கு விஜயநகரம் போயிருக்கிற மாதிரி தோன்றது. நான் இது பார்த்தேன்னா நான் கிருஷ்ணதேவராய பக்கத்தில் நின்றுட்டு இருக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்குன்னு. So these kids have now gotten interested in that topic. And this is what India Literacy Project does. என்னோட வேலை is a little kind of boring. All I have to do is raise money to enable more schools to get the. So we run these banquets every year, and people come to the banquets, and they contribute and things like that. So we get, and the one night we get anywhere from 60 lakhs to 1.5 crores for like contributions. But we're now over a multi-million dollar amount of money that we get contributed, and we've got a lot of. I think we've got at any time we have over 30 lakh children in India.
Wow.
Using our systems.
அமேசிங், அற்புதம் தீபக். அருமையான லேர்னிங். நான் எழுதி வச்சதை படிக்கிறேன். எஸ்பெஷலி ஆண்டர்ப்ரனர்ஸ் புதுசாக ஸ்டார்ட் அப் ஆரம்பிக்க போகிறீங்க, பெரிய கம்பெனிலேருந்து வரீங்கன்னா ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக வரும்னு எதிர்பார்க்காதீங்க. நீங்கள் ஒர்க் பண்ணுறது பெரிய கம்பெனி பிராண்டில். உங்களுக்காக பிராண்டை க்ரியேட் பண்ணுங்கள், அதுக்கு முயற்சி எடுங்க, பண்ணுங்கள். எதை பண்ணுறதா இருந்தாலும் கடகடன்னு முடிவெடுத்து பண்ணுங்கள். இப்போ இவர் உதாரணத்துக்கு சொன்னார், எனக்கு கலிஃபோர்னியாவில் சேல்ஸ் ஆள் கிடைக்கல, தாய்வானில் கிடச்சிது, இந்தியாவில் கிளைண்ட்டு கிடச்சிது. ஸோ ஒரு இடத்துல வேறு போட்டு உட்காராதீங்க. நமக்கு தேவையான விடை எங்கே வேணால் கிடைக்கலாம் உலகத்தில். அதுக்கு இவர் சொல்கிற மாதிரி நிறைய ட்ராவல் பண்ணணும், பார்க்கணும், பழகணும், பேசணும். எந்த பேச்சு எந்த விதை நம்ம மைண்டில் இருக்குன்னு தெரியாது. போக போக ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக அது வரும். ஹையரிங் ஃபார் சேல்ஸ் அண்ட் மார்க்கெட்டிங் கடினம் என்று சொன்னார். நான் ஒரு மார்க்கெட்டர், கண்டிப்பாக கடினம் தான். அதே பாணியில் ஆண்டர்ப்ரனர் தான் நம்பர் 1 சேல்ஸ் பர்சன் கம்பெனிக்கு. பட் வளர 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 நீங்கள் ஆளையும் எடுக்கணும். அது நீங்கள் முதலே பிளானில் போட்டிங்கன்னா ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக இருக்கும். அதுவும் தீபக் சொன்னது என்ன அப்படின்னா, டேட்டா பேஸை நம்பாதீங்க. ஒரு மைக்ரோ மார்க்கெட் அப்ரோச். அந்த கம்பெனியில் எந்த நபர் என் கிளைண்ட் யூஸராக வருவாரோ அவரை பற்றி தெரிஞ்சுக்கங்க, அவர்கிட்ட நேரடியாக பேசுங்க. அதை புரிஞ்சிங்கன்னா ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக விற்கிறதுக்கு பல வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. நோ த ஸ்பெசிஃபிக் பர்சன்னு தெளிவாக சொன்னார். அவர் புக்கை நம்பலை, பாட்காஸ்ட்டை நம்பலை, நேரடியாக மக்கள்கிட்ட பேசுறது. யார்கிட்ட பேசணுமோ, யார்கிட்ட தொழில் பழகணுமோ அவங்கள பார்த்து பேசி கான்ஃபரன்ஸுக்கு போகிறது அதில் எனக்கு முழுமையாக நம்பிக்கை இருக்குது. ஏன்னா நான் பல பிஸ்னஸை வளர்த்ததே ஒரு கான்ஃபரன்ஸை பேஸாக வச்சு தான். ஏன்னா பார்க்கணும், பழகணும், ஒரு தடவைக்கு 2 தடவை 3 தடவை பார்த்தாங்கன்னா ஆஹா இவர் தான் நபர், இதுதான் கம்பெனி, இதுதான் சால்வ் பண்ணுறாங்க அப்படின்னு வரும். ஆனால் கடைசியாக தீபக் ஒரே ஒரு வேண்டுகோள். எனக்கு மனசில் நிற்கிற விளம்பரம் என்னென்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, அந்த இன்டெல் இன்சைட் இடியட் அவுட் சைட் அப்படின்னு ஒரு பயங்கர இன்டெல் இன்சைடுங்கிற ஆட் வந்தது, இடியட் அவுட் சைடுன்னு டிஷர்ட் வந்தது. உலகத்துக்கே மிராபிலிஸ் இன்சைடுங்கிற விளம்பரம் நீங்கள் கொண்டு வரணும் தீபக். ஏன்னா இவ்வளோ பண்ணுறீங்க, நமக்கு மக்களாக நம்மளும் சார்ட்டர் மெம்பராக இருக்கும் டை சேனலில், எனக்கும் இன்றைக்கி தான் தெரியுது அது. ஸோ அதை கண்டிப்பாக மிராபிலிஸ் இன்சைடுங்கிற கேம்பெயினை நீங்கள் நடத்தியே ஆகணும்.
எஸ்.
தீபக், தேங்க்ஸ் அ லாட் ஃபார் இன்வெஸ்டிங் யுவர் டைம், ஷேரிங் யுவர் பிரேக் த்ரூஸ் அண்ட் பிளண்டர்ஸ். மிக்க நன்றி.
Thanks a lot for having me, Pravin. It was a great session.
Absolutely. So on behalf of Thai Chennai, thank you once again, Deepak. And signing off for this episode, your friendly neighborhood outlier marketer, Pravin Shekar. That's it for today on Breakthroughs and Blunders Tanglish podcast. இந்த பாட்காஸ்ட்ல பங்கேற்கணுமா? Contact Thai Chennai.